We have a mock draft on today's episode of Miami Dolphins Today, but make sure you are subscribed because we'll be the #1 home for Miami Dolphins draft content on YouTube throughout the draft cycle. But we're also still dropping videos daily during the season, and we'll be live on Monday for a Rams-Dolphins Week 10 Monday Night Football watch party. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 63,300 subscribers before that Monday night game kicks off. Let's get into today's video. We talked about it in the open. Mock Draft 2.0. We did a mock draft a while ago. I believe it was during the bye week. And now we're going to bring it back with a little extended weekend here since the Miami Dolphins do play on Monday night. And I thought it would be a good time to bring it out because, well, the trade deadline just passed. The Dolphins made no moves. So it's a good time to revisit what the team needs will be in the offseason as well as the draft picks that Miami will have. And let's start there with the draft picks because this is what Miami's projected to have in the draft. Well, let's not just say projected, but do have. They have picks in round 1, 2, 4, 2, and 5. Thank you to Denver. And then 2 in round 7 with Chicago. But I do think it's important to note, and I do want to throw this out there, that they're projected to have 2 more picks, both of them happening in the 3rd round due to comp picks, with Robert Hunt leaving in free agency, getting a massive contract with the Carolina Panthers, and then Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders on a big-time contract. It's likely that Miami will have 2 third-round picks at the end of the round, making 9 picks in total for Miami, with that would be 4 of them happening in the first 2 days. So with that being said, let's jump into this mock draft that is only 5 rounds because that's only what the simulator allows us to do, but we have a handful of picks here. You're going to see 5 picks, or maybe 7 picks. So how about that? And we'll start with Malaki Starks, the DB from Georgia, as the Dolphins currently have the 8th overall pick in the draft order. Starks is a talented safety at Georgia, and he fills a big-time need for the Fins as we get closer and closer to the offseason. What do I mean by that? Well, the Dolphins have a decision to make. Jevon Holland is going to be a free agent. He might be one of the top free agents on the market, and they could let him walk and then get a comp pick in 2026 for sure, or franchise tag him for around $20 million, or sign him through a long-term extension. The beauty with Starks is that it gives you flexibility in the draft, because if you draft Starks, well, you could play alongside Jevon Holland, or you could replace Holland. He's a safety that isn't afraid to get his hands dirty in the run game, but has also been excellent in coverage this year for the Georgia Bulldogs. You see his numbers on screen. Only allowed 195 yards on 17 receptions. Grades out really nicely by Pro Football Focus. The top safety in the class, in my opinion, and we get more film on the young man from Georgia. We'll get to see more of his skill set and what he can do on all 3 stages of the field, and he's someone that can play along anywhere on the defense as well. He lines up deep. He lines up in the slot. Starks is someone that can do it all, which is why I do think that he could play alongside Jevon Holland if they end up keeping Jevon, or he could replace him. And they'll need a safety regardless because Jordan Poyer stinks. Marcus May is older and on a 1-year deal, so they're going to need to add to that safety room regardless, unless Patrick Morris comes out of nowhere and ultimately becomes a stud down the stretch of the season, and you're fine at the safety group because the 6th-round pick in 2024 out of Cal ended up being much better than expected. Safety is likely going to be a top need for this football team in the offseason. Chris Grier is going to have to make an adjustment to this roster in that position. We'll see if Malaki Starks could be someone the Dolphins target. He's someone I got my eyes on for. But let me know, beat Chris Grier down in the comments section, who and what is the biggest position of need for the Miami Dolphins? Drop a position group down in the comments section for me. I expect to see a lot on the defensive line, and Deone Walker, the D tackle / defensive lineman from Kentucky, is certainly someone that I am intrigued with early on. Might be a 1st-round pick, but in this simulation, he fell to the 2nd round, so I figured we could talk about him because he is someone that has been dominant for that Kentucky defense in 2024. 20 tackles, 4 sacks, 16 pressures so far this season. He's getting after the quarterback. He's doing it in the run game. He's a big boy. You see it on screen, 6'6", 345. And we know with Christian Wilkins gone, the Dolphins are searching for a interior defensive lineman. Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer have been good this year, but the Dolphins defense still struggles a little bit against the run. And with Campbell being a free agent, 1-year deal, he may not return. Zach Sealer will be here, and you might draft a rookie in the first 2 days of the draft to get playmate, if you will, with Zach Sealer on that defensive line. And I think Deone Walker could be that guy that helps plug the run, but also still generate some pressure up the middle in the passing game. All right, moving along, we'll go to the trenches on the other side of the football field. That's Armand Membou, the offensive lineman from Missouri, which this is the only player that we repeated in the first mock draft we did. And I don't like repeating mock drafts, but Membou being there at the end of the third round where these comp picks come into play are just awesome for Miami, because he is someone who has been very good for the Missouri Tigers this season. He's played right tackle his entire career, but he projects as a guard at the next level, and that's what all the NFL scouts are saying. And we know that interior offensive line is a need for the Miami Dolphins. Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg don't look like the long-term solutions at those left guard and right guard positions for the Dolphins. The middle and center and the two tackles look like they're set for the future, but Membou could work inside at both left guard or right guard and shore up that interior. I do got to tell you guys about Game Time, the #1 ticketing app and sponsor here at Dolphins Today, because if you want to go see a live event, whether it be a sporting event, concert, comedy show, theater, it doesn't matter. Game Time is the best way to get your tickets because they've got so many great features that make purchasing tickets so much easier. One being Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They show a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you will not get bamboozled by a stanchion, a board, a pole. You'll know exactly what your vantage point is when you're looking for your seat. They also have all-in pricing, which shows the total price of your ticket up front, rather than getting blindsided by fees at checkout. I love Game Time. It's so easy to purchase tickets, which is why I use them whenever I go to a live event. And I want to make sure you guys get a great deal. When you download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only. But again, code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. As we get back to the mock draft here, Jay Higgins, the linebacker from Iowa, is someone that I really like on day 2 of the NFL draft, because we know that the Dolphins absolutely need a linebacker, because it's been atrocious this year for the Dolphins. Jordan Brooks has been good coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, but David Long Jr. and Anthony Walker Jr. have been atrocious. Both are going to be in the free agency pool this upcoming year. I do not want to re-sign them based off what I've seen thus far in this season. So grabbing Jay Higgins is something that I would really indulge in. And he does it all. And for a defense like Iowa that is so versatile, so multiple, I like bringing in Jay Higgins because he could lead your defense in both covering the middle of the field against tight ends, but also stopping the run. Has 51 tackles, can use his speed. He's a sideline-to-sideline linebacker to get after the quarterback. You see the numbers on screen, too. Yes, this linebacker has 3 interceptions and 1 PBU, and when you look even beyond those numbers and his overall coverage stats, he is absolutely incredible. He has had 275 stats in coverage, 90.1 overall grade, 93.5 coverage grade, has been targeted 26 times, only allowed 20 receptions for 105 yards. So he's only allowing about 5 yards per completion, which is sensational. You saw the 3 interceptions earlier, and he is yet to allow a touchdown this season as well. Higgins can cover. He can stop the run. He is someone that I would absolutely get in love with early on here in the process, as the Dolphins could look at a linebacker to add to this roster via the draft. Let's move on to the day 3 picks here early on, and I got them taking a quarterback, Jaxson Dart, the pocket quarterback from Ole Miss, and I think this is going to be potentially a target I have laid out with Miami quite a bit throughout the draft process, because to me, it makes a lot of sense for him to join this Dolphins football team. I think Miami should draft a quarterback, and Dart seems like someone that might fit the system well. Dart is someone who is big, 6'2", 225, can sit in the pocket, dial up a deep ball, has decent arm strength. Not crazy, but decent. Accurate as well. There's some a little bit of concerns with accuracy, but I'd say for the most part, he's an accurate guy. Sits in the pocket, can really decide quickly, reading defenses. He's accurate. He anticipates well as well. And I mentioned the accuracy, 71.7% completion percentage, comes from a NFL-styled offense with Lane Kiffin. I like Jaxson Dart. I think he's someone that Miami may have their eye on in the second day of the NFL draft. And if he falls into day 3 like he did in this simulation, I could definitely see him falling to the Miami Dolphins. But let me know. Make the call. Should the Dolphins draft a QB? Type D for draft, type P for pass. Maybe you want the Dolphins to just sign a veteran free agency and not draft one. I understand that, but I think you should always have a young quarterback you're trying to develop on your roster. Couple of fifth-round picks here. Dylan Fairchild, the interior offensive lineman from Georgia, and we'll also talk about Aeneas Peebles as well, the defensive lineman from Virginia Tech, who I have as the final 2 picks in this mock draft for the Miami Dolphins. Ending with the trenches here because it's just such an important need for the Fins, and it's one of the things that I need to see them address when we go into the draft and into free agency. We'll start with breaking down Fairchild here, who has been really good in pass blocking this past year for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's got good size to him, good mobility. I think I really like the potential fit with him in Miami and this type of scheme that Mike McDaniel implores. But also, Peebles has been dominant this year for Virginia Tech. 5th year guy. He started his career at Duke, played his first 4 seasons, then transferred to Virginia Tech, just absolutely dominating that interior defensive line for the Hokies as he rushes the passer. Not the best in run, but you see the numbers, 3 sacks, 26 pressures, 22 hurries. He gets after the quarterback in a big-time way, and he's someone that I would like to take a flyer on if he's there in the day 3. Now, I'm not going to act like any of these guys get drafted, but just some players that I got my eyes on early on in the draft process. I kind of like some of these players. Let me know your thoughts on the mock draft down below, and make sure you are subscribed as well because we're still dropping daily content here on the Miami Dolphins, and we aren't going anywhere as the season progresses. Like I said off the top, hit that sub button, join us for Monday Night Football watch party against the Los Angeles Rams.